about positive discipline.
Which is so important. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are rocking and rolling on day 4. We are learning, taking in a lot of information. And we have today Kelly Pfeiffer, who is a certified positive discipline lead trainer. So what I want to tell you about Kelly is she's not just out in the field helping children and families, but she's actually training trainers. So she is taking this, is it called a platform, a philosophy? What would you call it?
It's a curriculum, and international parenting curriculum.
She's taking the curriculum. Very good. So she's taking the curriculum and she's teaching the curriculum. And what I found very fascinating, and she's actually teaching it overseas. How many times a year?
Last year I went to China twice. I'm going back twice this year.
That's awesome. That is awesome. So tell us a little bit more about what it is that you love about this curriculum, because some people may not be aware of it before we jump into your talk today.
Yes, because people think of positive discipline as just this big overall term that means if you're not doing negative discipline, you're doing positive discipline. But Jane Nelson wrote a book called Positive Discipline back in the 1980s, was her first edition. So it's been around for a long time, but a lot of people have not heard about it. And positive discipline is not based on behavioral psychology. So many people think of discipline and they think of psychology and they think of a punishment and reward system. And positive discipline is not based on behaviorism. It's based on a philosophy from Alfred Adler. So it's based on Adlerian psychology. I won't say any more than that right now. But positive discipline, one of the things I love about it is it helped me have tools to teach my children so many life skills. So I looked around for different philosophies. I read all kinds of books, and I chose positive discipline because I thought it was the best one to equip my children with life skills.
Life skills, which I was sharing with someone else in an interview. Our children are actually lacking life skills right now based on data coming from Career Builder. They are surveying the last couple of years. They've been surveying employers and saying, tell us about the college graduates that you're hiring. And these employers said they're lacking important skills. They are lacking communication and problem solving and team building. And we haven't seen it like this in 10 to 20 years. So I love that this curriculum brings in those life skills. And how old are your children now?
My biological children are 24 and 21. My stepchildren, that I became a stepmom when my stepchildren were teenagers. And so my stepchildren are now 25 and 22.
So you have a full house. And so I'm sure you were able to use the curriculum quite a bit. So let's jump into Kelly. Today, you're going to talk to us about the most important life skill.
Yes. And people might be surprised at what that is. But when we do the first week of a positive discipline class, we make a big list. What are the life skills that we want our children to have when they leave our houses? And I jokingly say, when they leave our houses between the ages of 18 and 33. Sometimes, yeah, to get a laugh. Because many children are coming back home to live. My children have all flown the nest. I have an empty nest now. But we make this big list of life skills, and no one mentions this life skill that I think is the most important one.
Should I give a drum roll? Here we go.
Yeah. Okay.
What is it?
The ability to recover from mistakes. And so many times we are focusing our children on, get this right, do this the right way. Here, I need to teach you exactly how to do this. And that's a great goal, but we forget to teach children, well, what do you do if you make a mistake? And what do you do when you try and it doesn't work, and you try 3 times and it doesn't work? What do you do after that? Because life is full of mistakes. We're all doing our best, and our children are usually doing their best too, but they're going to make tons of mistakes. And lots of times children end up thinking that mistakes are bad, or hiding their mistakes, covering them up, lying about them, because the children don't know what to do when they make a mistake. They haven't been taught some recovery skills.
This is going to be a good talk, and I will just openly say to all of our viewers that I think I became really good at recovering from mistakes as a parent, because your mistakes are kind of out there, and you have witnesses to your mistakes, And you can either hide in a corner or just say, yes, or you can hold yourself accountable and be responsible for those mistakes, and then show your family and your young children how you're going to move on after that. So parenting definitely has helped me in this area. But our children are not parents, so how are we going to help our children?
So one thing you just said is modeling. Now that's huge. So when we make a mistake, we need to model these steps on how to recover from a mistake. So your strongest parenting tool to teach is modeling.
Okay.
Whatever you're wanting your children to do, you have to model first. So if you're yelling all the time during a conflict and then you want to tell your kids not to yell, how would they even know what it looks like? So for those times when you make a mistake, positive discipline actually has a tool called the recovery from mistakes tool. So I brought these tool cards because positive discipline has this deck of tool cards. You can get this at positivediscipline.com, or you can get it as an app on your phone.
Oh, cool.
This says the 3 R's of recovery from a mistake. And the first R is recognize that you made a mistake, but sometimes before you can even do that, you have to calm down. So if anybody got upset, if there was a big conflict, you can't do any of these until people are calm and ready to actually think about what happened. So first step is really, it's like regather yourself.
Okay.
And then, but the 3 R's on here, the first is recognize that you made a mistake. With a feeling of responsibility instead of blame. That's what we would love kids to do, right?
Own up to it.
Yes, yes. And so we have to do that as parents. Say, I made a mistake and I'm sorry. Not, I made a mistake, but if you had gotten ready on time, I wouldn't have had to yell. That's blaming your mistake on the other person. Mm-hmm. So we have to model just holding ourselves accountable for that mistake and not blaming it on other people. The second R is reconcile with an apology. And children are really so forgiving when we do this. And then we need to model being forgiving when our children use this tool as well. And then the third R is resolve the problem, which you could think of resolve as solve, let's look at this again and work on a solution that works for both of us. And then in this, sometimes you will also have to not only verbally apologize, but say, I'm going to clean up the mess I made. So you might have to do an apology of action to make things better again. So if you spilled something, of course, you would clean it up. If you had damaged some property of someone else's, you would try to replace it. Those kind of things can also be involved in those 3 R's of recovery.
That's excellent. I've actually do you have those?
I don't, because my camera, my external camera that I bought has these speakers that work.
Okay, let me see if hello, is that better?
I can hear you about the same, but do you want me to go? I do have headphones. I can go.
No, we're okay now. I'm not hearing an echo with my headphones out. Okay. One thing my husband has said to me, because we did some life training through an organization, but the importance of when you're in conflict resolution, cleaning it up.
Yes.
And not sweeping things under the rug and just fast forward and moving on without making sure that things are cleaned up. So when I'm having difficulties maybe with a colleague or a friend, he'll say, did you clean it up? And I love that because it's a good reminder for me to make sure that I've really wrapped it up before I've moved on. And I feel like I'm hearing that in this with you.
Yes, and what a life skill that is, right? For your relationships and just for everybody to feel like everything was tied up, the loose ends. Because have you ever had a conflict with someone and then you never got to resolve it, and you're always wondering about
how do they feel about that? Are they still mad? Or, where do we stand? Absolutely.
Right.
So Kelly, let's talk about those teachable moments as a parent, because I know that was another talking point of yours.
Yes. So we hear this term teachable moments, but I like to look at teachable moments in that they're not in crisis moments. A lot of people think, oh, I need to do my best parenting and my strong parenting and my discipline teaching when there's a behavior issue that comes up and in the moment, and traditional discipline says that's when you need to solve the problem. Just whenever this has happened, do something immediately. And positive discipline says, wait, that really doesn't work well long term, because in a crisis moment, people are not calm usually. Now, if you can stay calm through the crisis moment, fantastic. But if it's a crisis moment where the emotions are high, nothing will be learned, because we do our best learning and our best teaching when we feel calm and safe. And that's when we can use our thinking brain and actually learn something new.
This is fantastic, because we have not had any official positive discipline trainers or lead trainers here this week. However, we've had, pediatricians and psychologists and parent coaches, and I'm hearing similar things. You cannot be in the heat of the moment and react, because the outcome is not going to be positive. The child is not going to learn from that reaction, which is usually emotionally charged.
Yes. And we all will be in a situation like we all might have to carry our kicking, screaming child out of the store and go home. We might have to do that. But that is not the teachable moment. That is the crisis moment that you're just getting through. So you can't teach anything in that moment except, hey, when things get rough, we're going to leave the store. It's later that you'll have to do the teaching about whatever happened.
I am taking this in because we had a crisis moment about an outfit this morning, and I tried teaching right there. And I've been listening to all of these, and this is definitely a weak part of my parenting that I'm finding. I need to step away and just have some time and space before I try to wrap it up and solve and, resolve it with my children.
Yes, and I think you are like many parents that I have this too, or I had this. We think we need to solve the problem right then and make everything right and teach it all and do it all in that one moment. And it's just literally not possible.
No, and I used to, I have grown. Probably 5 years ago, my ego would really get the best of me, and I don't want to talk right now. I'm upset. Mama's still upset. I need to calm down before I talk. And now I'm like, who is the adult here? So as my daughter got on the bus, big hug. I love you. Have an awesome day. I am the adult. And I know that was just emotionally charged when she came down with her 6-year-old sister's pants on, and they don't fit her. And she's trying to go to school with a size 4 on, and she's an 8.
Yeah. Most parents can totally relate to that type of moment. Like, what do you do? Sometimes you have to just get through that and then later figure out how you're going to prevent that from happening again.
Yes, fantastic. And into our last teaching moment or teaching point here was how to stop using fear strategies to motivate children. Powerful, because I know growing up, that was what people in my life would do, like fear strategies. And Maria's listening now because she's afraid.
Yes, and we all know these fear tools because so many tools have been used on us while we were growing up, and they work in the moment. Often, that's why people use them, because fear is a good motivator. But what are the long-range results of that? So are children only going to respond when there's fear involved? Or do we want them to respond because they care about other people, they care about themselves, they really want to do well? What do we want their motivation to be for their actions in the world, their good actions, their healthy, just healthy motivation? Do we want it to be, I'm afraid that something will happen to me and that's why I'm doing this? Or out of just a sense of, I care about these people that I'm with here, and that's why I want to be on time, or that's why I want to wait my turn to speak?
And I think a good question too, because I did not like that tactic. I wonder if children who fear adults, do they trust that adult?
Exactly.
And, I want my children to trust me, and I want them to come to me when they're having, difficulties and they need help. And I just wonder, I don't know the research on this, but it's probably not. I don't think we go to people that we fear when we need help.
Right. So we have the 4 R's of punishment in a positive discipline. We say these are the 4 results that one or more of these might happen when we use this fear-based system, when we use this punishment. Children either feel resentful, they feel it's not fair. They get revenge. They might not get it right then. They might get it right then, or they might get it later. They also might have reduced self-esteem from punishment. And they'll either just hide something they don't want to be punished for, or they'll feel like they're a bad person. And then, let's see, what did I say? Revenge, resentment, anyway, the 4th one is they can't trust adults. It's not coming to my head right now. I've taught this for years, but the word is not coming to me. So that they can't trust adults. This isn't fair.
And that's sad. I mean, I think all parents want their children to trust them. And I think a lot of times too, we turn to fear because that's what we had, that's how we were maybe parented, or maybe that's how we were coached on a team or what have you, however it came into your life. But I love the curriculum of the positive discipline. Everything I've heard about it. I listened to a podcast of someone who uses positive discipline. Joyful Courage. Yeah.
Joyful Courage is Casey Arordi. Yes. Casey, I know Casey and I know each other very well. So.
Oh, because she is a coach, a positive discipline coach, isn't she? Or
a discipline trainer. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So we have had someone on, and she did talk about, the space of the child's behavior, holding some space there before having that reaction, and trying to have a response versus a reaction. So, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Very good. Now,
podcast. Love it.
Oh, me too. So anyone listening, it's really good because she interviews a lot of people who use the curriculum, who teach the curriculum. So you can really get a good sense of what it looks like in real life situations. Now, Kelly, before we leave here today, I know you have a freebie for everyone. It's an offer, and we'll put the link below. And it is called Stop Yelling, Start Inviting Cooperation Steps. So is it a PDF? Tell us a little bit about this.
It is a PDF that's clickable. So when you download it, then you can click on links, because I'll mention something and you can click on a link to go read more about that tool or more about the concept that I'm mentioning. Also, you can print it off and put it on your refrigerator or something. But because it says stop yelling and start inviting cooperation, but that is not something you can do in just 3 easy steps and I'm done. It takes some work to learn the tools, because as you said, most of us are used to using those fear-based tools. That's what we know. We don't know many other tools. Or if we do, we don't know how to be firm with the tool. Like we want to be respectful and firm. We know how to be firm and maybe disrespectful with the fear-based, but we don't know how to follow through. It takes more time, more energy, and we have to think it through. So when parents are attempting to use this tool and use the steps, just start with step 1 and do it, get that one going well. Then add the next step, and then add the next step, because we have to unlearn so much of what we were taught in the years up till now. So it's a lot of unlearning that has to happen, and we have to change our expectations. It's a big shift in the way we think about how children learn. So they might learn something from punishment, but it might not be what we're really trying to teach them or what we would like for them to learn.
And what would be your greatest advice for us as parents if we do want to change the way we parent and we read the book Positive Discipline, we like what we hear, how is it best to put into practice? Are there, groups, support groups, or are there, tell us a little bit more if there's any support for parents.
So there is a curriculum. It's taught face-to-face, and so you can go to a live class in some cities. So if you go to positivediscipline.com, you can look at the list of classes and see if there are any classes coming up in your area.
Okay.
Some trainers are starting to offer some classes online, and I have dabbled in that a little bit, and I will be offering some things online coming this year.
Okay.
So you could also check online, and let's see, Casey's podcast is a great way to learn about positive discipline. Also, there's a lot of different spin-off books. There's Positive Discipline for preschoolers, Positive Discipline for teenagers, Positive Discipline for children with special needs.
Awesome. Okay.
And then my favorite one would probably be Positive Discipline A to Z. It's like a dictionary. You can look up biting and you'll get lots of different ideas. So the authors made sure, Jane Nelson, the author, made sure there were lots of different ideas because different parents, like different tools. So she liked to give a lot of different choices. There's not just one way to solve a problem.
Oh, I like that. Very good. Because that's how life is. That's how life is. That's how parenting is. Children are not born with manuals. You cannot parent one child exactly the same way as you parent the next child. And if you are a parent of multiple children, you will learn very quickly that that does not work. Right. And your children are so very different. And we need to really honor and respect the individual whole child versus just saying, oh, well, these are Dismondys. No, it's Ruby Dismondy and Leah Dismondy and Dexter Dismondy. So
yes, families are different, parents are different, living situations are different. So what works in one home and with one family may be very different from what works in another one.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Kelly, for being on with us today. Very helpful. And I was surprised by if you're tuning in now, because our viewers it's getting higher as we end today. If you're tuning in now, you're going to want to rewind and find out what is the most important life skill we need to teach our children, because I was shocked. I was shocked. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. Bye.